program are those of the speakers and the host and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. Ty Bartell, there you are, Ty. A little late on the draw. And once again, this is Running Point, and we have a lot to talk about, a lot of results over the weekend. We have softball brackets to talk about because the brackets are out, and here we are, tournament time. It doesn't feel real because we've had maybe half of a season, but hey, you know, we're just gonna let the dice roll and let them hit where they may, right, Ty?
I mean, looking over the weekend too, I mean, we've had a bunch of no hitters, and that's a pun intended for a little bit more of what we're gonna have to talk about too.
Right, because we had no hitters. We had some awesome offensive performances too, close to record breaking. And then we just had a lot of really wacky results come in from the weekend, from no hitters to upsets to great offensive performances. Ty, I guess we should start. Well, where do you want to start with the? I mean, like, you can pick your poison for these games. So many good ones.
I mean, just looking at it too. I mean, like I was mentioning, the amount of no hitters.
What result surprised you the most? And I'll go with that.
Oh man, I mean, looking at all the games that kind of happened, it was just so much history that, I mean, they first and foremost, like Friday and then Saturday, the results that came in, it seemed like every other game I was looking at was like no hitter, no hitter, no hitter in baseball. I think we had you had Freddie Ballchalk that threw one. You had Mark Bunch that threw one.
Bunch threw one for Ridge. Landon Beidel threw a perfect game.
Yeah, the perfecto, like a step above that perfecto. I mean, like, just all we saw, and then looking at it too, we had a 5 home run performance.
Right, 5 home runs in 2 games.
Yeah,
Paige Ogden hit 3 against Perrysburg, the Yellow Jackets, and then 2 more in the day before. They went down to a big tournament in Ohio. Played some really good teams.
I think one result, I think that really caught a lot of people not off guard, but I think really made people realize, like, this team is here. Salem beating South Range.
Salem, yeah. Brock Young in the day before pitched really well. We're going to have him on today. Great segue, Ty. Let's talk about our guest that we're going to have on today as well. Sydney Watts will be joining us at 12:30, and then we have Brock Young at 12:45 from Salem Baseball. Tori Strines from Boardman Softball on at 1 o'clock. We're also going to be featuring a interview that we did over the weekend with Olivia Keller from Beaver Local Softball. So a lot to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fully loaded show too of, I believe, 4 guests that are going to be featured, 3 live and 1 pre-recorded here within the first hour. And that's not even talking about the tournament brackets that we have to get through for softball, plus all the results, plus we got to preview what this new power ranking is going to look like tomorrow, because we'll be talking about that tomorrow for sure. But we're going to have to just kind of discuss what we think is going to happen in the shifting of the power rankings too.
Plus, we have games today.
Yeah, on top of all that, there's games to talk about today. So fully loaded show here, and waste no time, right?
I guess I was at Boardman on Saturday afternoon. They played Massillon Jackson in a doubleheader. And Tori Strines, who we're going to have on a little bit later in the show, so I guess it's poignant to talk about her performance. Boardman lost 1-0, but Tori Strines went up against a Purdue softball commit in Julia Gossett for Massillon Jackson. And when I say Tori Strines went toe-to-toe with Gossett, I mean toe-to-toe, pitch for pitch. Just one big hit with a runner on second for the Polar Bears was the difference. Both pitchers were electric in the circle. Both pitchers pitched really well with runners on because both offenses had a couple opportunities here and there that went by the wayside. But, man, I was so impressed. That was Tori Strines. Talked to Coach Moots. He agrees. Best performance of the season, and it's just a tough luck loss.
And, I mean, you look at what Tori Strines has been able to do as a freshman, too. Like we said, the freshman talent in this area, it feels like a lot of these teams have been it's just been an influx of freshman talent, too, that has just been inserted into all these teams. And, I mean, it's making a lot of these teams better. And we're seeing freshmen all over, not just D1, but all over the place that are coming up with some big performances, too, and helping their teams win. And it's great to see softball because that just means the sport's growing. And, I mean, that means that these youth are really picking up the game at an earlier age.
And we were worried after last year because so many seniors graduated. We were sitting here like, what's going to happen? How's this going to look? And then here come all these freshmen, some that we knew that were coming, some that we didn't. That are kind of
you get to rub your hands together and be like, 4 years you get them.
4 years, there we go. Let's roll. But Tori Strine is definitely one of those freshmen that looks so impressive. And like I said, probably the performance of her season so far, despite the 1-0 loss. Sometimes wins and losses don't reflect how well you played. So Boardman was able to bounce back in game 2 and get the 12-6 win over Jackson to split the doubleheader with the Federal League powerhouse, and that was impressive. Louisville softball got the sweep over Claymont on Saturday, which is, man, Louisville, they have wins over Hoover, 2 wins over Claymont on the week, and a pretty competitive softball game against Massillon Jackson, which proves to everybody that they're just not going to be slept on in this district tournament.
No doubt. And I mean, I think that's the case for pretty much all these softball teams that we're going to see. These teams aren't going to be slept on once you get into these tournaments. And honestly and truthfully, once these tournaments get well underway, it's going to be a madhouse because you're going to see all sorts of quote unquote upsets based on the seeding wise. Because, I mean, let's just be real. Some of these teams aren't going to be happy with where they're seated because they're going to feel like they didn't get really a chance to showcase it with their record. But hey, it's just going to make for, I think, a more interesting tournament, and I couldn't be more excited, too. One game, anything could happen.
Let's look at the week for the Canfield softball because they had a great week. They beat Aurora, they beat Ellett, they beat Bristol. They lost to Poland, but it was one swing of the bat. Katie McDonald hit a grand slam, and other than that, like, Canfield really dominated that game. I mean, I know it's hard to say other than a grand slam, but really it's one pitch, one bad pitch, and one Katie McDonald grand slam won that game for Poland. But then they bounced back and swept a Willoughby South team that's very good and sends a lot of players to Division I colleges. In fact, they have an alumni now playing for Missouri. So they build softball talent in Willoughby. So to get a sweep in get a sweep of South over the weekend, Canfield, everyone thought, hey, they had 12 days off. They might come back a little rusty after spring break. No, they had a really awesome week of softball, and they're moving up in the world.
They're moving up too, and it'll be interesting to see where they get power ranked, or if they get power ranked, I should say, this week too, because I think it's going to move them up, but I don't know how many voters are going to put them into that top 10 kind of threshold. I think it'll be interesting once our power rankings drop tonight. Stay tuned to our socials, of course.
They have a lot of league games left because right now they are 0-3 in the AAC, which is not necessarily depictive of how good they are, but they lost one to Boardman. They obviously lost the first two to Fitch that they played really early in the season. They still have to play 2 against Allen, 2 against Warren Harding, and 1 against Boardman. And they also have a game against Uniontown Lake on Friday, and they still play Glen Oak on the season too. So a lot of things still ahead of Canfield, even though they have that 0-3 kind of gloomy record in the AAC that might sway some voters the other way to look at that record and be like, well, they haven't won the conference, so what are they doing? But it's still really early in their conference schedule. They have yet to play a lot of teams in there.
Yeah, and I mean it's going to be interesting to see which one of these teams is going to be able to kind of crack this top 10, but which one of these teams are starting to pick up and hold this momentum come the tournament time. And like you said, and you almost thought it was unwise for Canfield in the midst of all this weather and all these rainouts to just take 12 days off, but they found themselves. It seems like they found their identity. They found exactly who they are, and they're coming out swinging the bats at a fast rate, man, and they're putting up wins left and right.
Now, I'll be honest, I did not think it was going to go well. Just like I thought, oh man, 12 days off, and then they come out, the week that they had, like the schedule they had this week, and I was like, this could get weird real quick. But no, they kept through, and they got a really good week of softball, and they're looking good. They're looking really good. Like I said, I did their game against Poland, and it was just one pitch that gave up a grand slam to Katie McDonald that was the difference between them being undefeated this week. And, other than that, they're unblemished on the week of softball. Their baseball team, well, they're lighting the world on fire, and we all knew they would. Landon Vital-Cheese threw a perfect game against Struthers on Friday, 13-0. They got the win over Struthers on Seton Park. And let's look at Vital-Cheese's line. He gave up obviously no runs over 5 innings, striking out 13-5. So that's only, if you do the math, 2 outs recorded that were not part of a strikeout. And he obviously didn't walk any, and there were no errors because it was a perfect game. So 13 strikeouts in 5 innings against the Struthers team that was putting stuff together before that. That's impressive. Impressive. Actually, I don't care who you're playing. You throw a perfect game and 13 strikeouts. That's impressive no matter what.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to say too, on our social media pages right now, just as of 5 minutes ago, we have some Big Dog of the Valleys that we have. Winners have been announced for both the softball and baseball side. So I wanted to waste a little time breaking that. Ladies first, as always. Your softball Big Dog of the Valley. You mentioned Poland. You mentioned the Grand Slam of Katie McDonald, but we'll stay with the Poland team. It's Mary Brandt that actually has won the Big Dog of the Valley for week 2, as she was the selection for the week 2.
She's
Big
got
Dog.
a walk-off homer under her belt this year against Hubbard.
That's a huge one too, and I mean Poland getting some love. We'll see if they can crack the power rankings. I know
they got kicked out of it last week, but then they came back and they got 2 against Lake.
Tony Cougars was giving you little jabs on.
He always does.
And then we go to our baseball one. It's the Kennedy man himself, the captain, I like to call him over there, Gavin Schrum for Warren JFK, that has taken it away for week 2 of the Big Dog voting. And you want to talk about a guy that commands the shortstop position defensively and commands the mound when he pitches. Great guy, great leader over there for Warren JFK.
And you know that JFK's community was right there with him. Like a lot of votes this week, and JFK was able to come out on top because you
might be a Division 4 school, people, but they bring the votes.
You look at the players that were with him on that list, and a lot of those programs vote really well. So for the JFK community to get Gavin Schrum the win, that's impressive. And JFK keeps moving up in the world. And while other teams are finding mid-season struggles, JFK is finding mid-season hot streaks.
And don't forget, you could always look at under ysnlive.com/Big Dogs to look at the new updated Big Dog voting. Usually comes in around Tuesday too, as the voting's concluded, but that's where you find that, and find it on our socials too, on both our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram for the graphics on the winners.
It's not a set in stone like exact schedule like Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winners or new nominees come out at this time at this place, but usually by Tuesday morning. We'll have those up on our social.
That's why I said usually it's around Tuesday.
So. And usually around tonight, at some point tonight, we'll have the power rankings for the week as well, which we'll be able to talk about tomorrow. It's going to be exciting to see really the last regular season week of softball and who's going to line up in the last regular season week of power rankings.
Is there any team that's willing to answer the toll of the number 1 ranked team?
I tell you, I don't think so, Ty, because, I mean, South Range had a tough weekend, obviously against great teams. They played the number 5 seed in Division One in Broadview, but like there's still losses, right? There's still little L's on that check mark, and you're not going to take over the one spot with tough luck losses, no matter who you're playing. Now they got a win over Mount Vernon, which is another great win. That's going to make them not fall down, hopefully, too much. But you take those losses and they go. Now, if South Range was able to win everywhere on their schedule and beat Beaver, PA, and beat these teams in the Pubis Invitational, maybe, but it didn't happen that way. And Ursuline, they've had a couple of losses despite having a good weekend. There's no teams grabbing this by the horn and saying we're going to challenge Fitch for that one spot.
And then I think it's the same thing on the baseball side of things too for Canfield. I don't think it's so hard. I mean, there are teams that are stepping up too, and I think it's definitely closer than what we've seen maybe in recent weeks for a couple of teams. Namely, I think Salem is one of them. But I think honestly what we're seeing right now is just Canfield. They continue to win. You're throwing perfect games. Like Landon Vital, like they're trying to top themselves. And they just keep on beating some of the areas, the states, the nation's best teams, and they're still topping themselves or trying to week after week.
And you're raising the bar consistently, right? And they still have some tough stuff on their schedule, right? They still have Fitch twice. They have to play Boardman again. So still opportunities for Canfield to stumble, but unless they do, I don't think anyone's taking out the one spot. Same thing with Fitch softball. Unless someone gets them, I think they're pretty secure in that one spot.
Yeah, it seems like it. It just seems like on the baseball side, though, Salem just got teams from Canfield's number.
I want to talk about Mark Bunch's no-hitter, too. Don't want to let that go by the wayside for the Middle Ridge Rams. We iced over it, but I don't want to ice over it. I want to dig into it. As Middle Ridge got the win on Friday, and Bunch went all 7 innings, and he gave up no hits, obviously, no runs. He struck out 12. So 12 strikeouts in 7 innings, really impressive. Also a good day at the plate as he had RBIs and he went he had multiple hits along with Bickerstaff and Aaron Myers. They both had really good days as well. So Middle Ridge gets the win over McDonald 6-0. And Mark Bunch throws the no-hitter. That was Friday night for the Rams, who this MVAC Scarlet tier has teams that are kind of like butting each other. Lowville got a big win over the weekend over Sebring. Western Reserve starting to get a couple of big wins. Middle Ridge, obviously. Springfield 6-1. They've only lost that one game to Mooney, so they're still knocking at the door of everybody. But no one really running away with this Scarlet tier in the MVAC.
No, not at all. And I mean, it's pretty wide open still. And I mean, that just poses for more excitement come tournament time, because that just means that, or I should say by end of the season going into tournament time, because that just means we have conferences that have to be decided before the start of tournament.
You want to talk about, by the way, an exciting result over the weekend. How about West Branch softball getting the walk-off in 8 innings? Talk about this score tie, 17-15. Skylar Greenison gets the walk-off 2-run home run to win over Howland. We said it on Friday. Both these teams know how to hit the softball, right? They're both really, really good offensive lineups. They both flexed hard on Friday.
Doing it in a huge way too. I mean, you just look at the score. It's like it's ridiculous how much runs they're able to put up too. What was the final 15, 17,
17-15?
Yeah, 17-15. Like, you 32 runs of combined offense between these two teams, but West Branch wins the shootout with Howland, and that was a fun one.
Here's the breakdown of the offensive production. It's long-winded, so excuse me. Riley Pittman went 5 for 6. Like, how many times do you get a 5 for 6? 5 for 6 with 2 doubles, 4 RBI. Tori McKay, 3 hits, a double, 3 RBI. Reagan Greenison with 3 hits, a double. Sydney Mercer, 2 doubles, 1 RBI. Addie Craven had 2 hits, a double, and 3 RBI. Maddie Hawk had a double and an RBI. Skylar Greenison, 4 hits, a double, the walk-off home run, 3 RBI. And it was also her birthday, by the way. So happy birthday to Skylar Greenison as she got the birthday gift on Friday. But then we'll go to Howland's offense. Maddie Hufford, 4 for 5 with 2 RBI. 3 runs scored. Alyssa Masucci, 2 for 3 with a triple, 2 RBI, 2 runs scored. Brooke Tater, 2 for 4, RBI, 2 runs scored. Chloe Lopez led in RBI. She had 3 on a 2 for 4 day. So, offense. If you like teams that can hit the ball, then you like Hubbard, Howland, and you like West Branch.
It was a big run production we saw from both of those teams, and I mean, just across the board, just incredible that we've seen some of these scores and some of these great games, and it was nice to see the offense kind of take the lead for once too. We've been kind of missing those big offensive games because the rain's kind of putting the offense behind the 8 ball a bit. But honestly, just seeing games like that really is nice to see that some of these teams are in check, and even Howland in a losing effort, scoring 15 runs against West Branch. That's getting prepared for the tournament time.
Ty, we talked about Warren JFK being a little under the radar because they were Division 4. Heartland Baseball putting together a really good season all of a sudden, and they're Division 4 too, so you can't sleep on Heartland. They beat Crestview over the weekend.
Big win.
And, yeah, that is a big win. And Crestview,
4-2, I believe,
struggling. Crestview came into this week undefeated.
Yeah, and I mean that's a huge win, and both Crestview baseball and softball kind of taking their bumps a bit going into the weekend, this past weekend, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah,
and that's a big win for Heartland.
Remember, because not last week, but the week before, Champion kind of opened the door for Crestview a little bit to get in that MVAC conversation, and then Newton Falls beats Crestview this week, shuts them out. So now that MVAC, it's still Champion, right? They're 11-1. They've only lost one game in the MVAC. And Champion's kind of sitting in the driver's seat again because Crestview took that loss. Now, obviously, Crestview plays Champion tomorrow night at home, so they have a chance to change that story a little bit. But Champion, right there, like usual.
They find a way to stick around, don't they? Every time it comes in towards the end of the year, they always find a way to just hang around.
You look at Jake King had the win for Heartland in his first career start. How about that? First career start, you pitch your team to a win, and you'll hold a very good Crestview offense to just 2 runs. He struck out 8. Ethan Fiesel took the loss for Crestview. He gave up 2 runs on 4 hits. He struck out over 5 innings. He struck out 5. So that's a tough luck loss. He pitched pretty well, and you just can't get the offensive support that you need. Crestview had 6 hits. Jesse McKee and Sam Campbell each racked up multiple hits for Crestview. So you look at it, Crestview, tough week, right? They have to bounce back. I think they're still a very good baseball team. You can't sleep on them in the tournament, but you're going to have these little lumps in the week. And unfortunately for them, it came at the high peak of their season where they were riding a lot of momentum. They were undefeated, and they took a little bit of their own medicine, I guess you would say, this week with Garfield beating them up, and now Heartland Christian getting the win over them as well.
Better that it happens now, though, than in the tournament. Right. You kind of have something you need to figure out now than it happens in late May, right?
You give any coach the option, hey, do you want to lose a couple games in late April, or do you want to lose them in the tournament? Obviously, you can't lose a couple in the tournament. But you'd rather have your bad games in the season, right? Now, obviously, in a perfect world, if you could pick and choose, you'd have your bad games in the beginning of the season, and you'd make all the best adjustments in the middle, and then you'd have a huge run at the end and carry around a lot of momentum heading into that tournament.
A question I'd like to ask Gary Niddle the next time he's on is if he thinks a loss in the regular season would have benefited that Campfield team last year. Because
not even a loss. How about a close game? They were blowing everybody out. They had almost no close game adversity.
And I feel like coaches too, you never want to lose, right? You always play to win. But sometimes experiencing a loss, especially for high school teams, and getting that kind of humbling experience when you are a really good baseball team, it's almost kind of needed to build on before you go into a tournament. You need to know that you're human, so you play to avoid that at all costs too. It gets you an extra pep in your step, I guess, if you will, going into tournament.
And look, these are young kids, right? They're 15, 18-year-old. How easy is it for them to kind of feel invincible if they're starting to just tear through
Very
everything.
easy. Very
Right?
easy.
These were good teams they were playing last year. It's not like they just had to ramp up their schedule from 0 to 10. Like they were playing a good schedule last year. They were just smoking teams, right? They were
They had
just,
to go from good to great
and
to
then they all of a
legendary.
sudden Salem got them in a close game, and you could argue that they just didn't have a good day, but also you could argue that they didn't know how to handle close game situations. You know, you kind of toe that line.
And then, I mean, on top of all that, there was some weird, wacky calls
yeah.
that you have to address in that game as well.
That game went bonkers, right?
Yeah.
It went bonkers.
But at the end of it, I think what you see teams like Canfield and what you see all kinds of teams around here doing, and what they're really doing is taking advantage of the level of competition that they have around them. Because in the baseball realm, maybe not so much as what we see in the basketball realm. It's coming up, right? The competition's coming up. But if you really want to play those really, really good teams, you got to go into the Federal League. You got to travel a bit. But with baseball, you have so many good quality teams, and softball as well, that are right here, no more than like a half-hour drive from you, that you can get out there and play some of the best too, and bring them in too, because they want to play you. Because the level here, you're bringing the out of town, instead of like us going to the Federal League teams for basketball, they're coming to us because they want to play us, because the level of competition is high around here.
I could be wrong, but I believe last year was our first year with baseball with Canfield. I think they signed on last fall, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But so like coming into last year, I don't know how hyped up this Canfield team. Like I don't know how many people knew that their pitchers were all going, Division I, and this was how hyped up they were. I don't know what kind of season they had maybe 3 years ago. Their sophomore season. But now you're not surprising anyone this year, right? Like you're absolutely going to get everyone's absolute best. And like you said, the success they had last year, despite the early tournament loss, it kind of got everyone, oh, we need to go play this team, right? We need to get this team on our schedule. That's why they play the Hobans. They're playing some of the best teams that they can possibly play.
I think
all of a sudden they have that respect.
But I think it's important to note the reason this team kind of felt like they did jump out of the radar, because that sophomore season didn't happen because of COVID.
Right.
So they had freshman year.
Totally,
so you saw these guys as freshmen, and then we didn't know what they were, because freshman year we didn't see a whole lot of playing time from them.
Right.
Then they burst onto the radar last year. It's like, oh, they can do that. They got this. And now this year they're quickly trying to put it all together, because they lost that year, and they're like, we need to rapidly build this thing to what it can be. And now we're seeing exactly who they are.
So unless you really followed baseball and really knew what these kids were, like you dove into their summer and you didn't know that they were bringing this pitching staff to you last season. So that's a good point. I totally forgot about COVID. Like it went right out of my head.
It's easy to, when you're just thinking sports history too, it's like it's just a blur in high school sports.
I wish it didn't happen. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think we all do too. But I tell you what I do.
Numbers for these pitchers if they got a sophomore season.
Oh my goodness, some of them too. Some of these pitchers. Imagine if like a Lydia Spalding had a junior year too. But you talk about it. I will tell you what I am excited for. Some of these interviews, and we're going to be having a gauntlet of interviews coming up for you guys here in the next about hour, I would say, of the show.
Pretty much bang, bang, bang. We're gonna have Sydney Watts here any minute. 12:45, we have Brock Young from Salem Baseball. At 1 o'clock, we have Tori Strines from Boardman Softball. And then we have a pre-recorded interview that we're going to feature with Olivia Keller from Beaver Local Softball. So all that, and then when we get back from all that, we're going to talk about tournament time and tonight's game. So we got a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're definitely excited for it. And time to start on off, right? Without further ado.
It's Sydney Watts, the superstar freshman, joining us on Running Point. Sydney, thank you so much for the time. And, man, we're excited that we finally get you on the show.
Thank you, guys.
I mean, Sid, let's first and foremost just talk about this season you've been able to put together as a freshman, 200-plus strikeouts under your belt. I mean, just unprecedented game after game. Just talk to me about this experience that you've had with this season so far. Who are some big names that have kind of helped you out in this team and along the way that you want to shout out to?
Some of the things that have helped me along the way is knowing I have my defense behind me, including Ayla at shortstop, Soph at third, Maddie at first, and Kate at second. Knowing I have that infield behind me and then the super strong outfield, it's just been great. And then having Kenna behind the plate, she's awesome back there, and we're so close off the field. I feel like that also helps on the field with like our bond just is great.
You talk about this defense, and we've joked with some of your teammates before about how they don't get to play a lot because you're striking out so many people. But with the defense that you have behind you and the confidence that you have, especially in your infield, does that make you a little bit able to be a little bit more aggressive when you're deciding what to pitch to people? Because you know if they do get a piece of the ball, you have a really good defense behind you. Does that allow you to be even more aggressive with your pitch selection and what you want to throw to batters?
Yeah, it really helps me grow as a player knowing I have the defense behind me because I'm able to work on my pitches more. Because if they do put it in play, they're there to get the out 99.9% of the time.
Let's talk about the freshmen in the softball world too. We talked with one of your friends, Maddie Hufford, too, of Howland softball. Just all kinds of talented freshmen around the area. What can you speak on the freshmen that are coming up in the softball realm in the area too? The talent level that you saw in 8th grade last year, and what can we kind of expect for years to come in the softball world?
I feel like the game is growing so quickly that the more years, like the more they come up, that the game's just going to get better because the 8th graders now are great. I've seen them all play. They're just, the game's getting better as the years go on.
You know, speaking of Maddie Hufford, we have her mom, I think, commenting and giving you some love in the comments because it's funny because when we had her on, your family was giving her the love. So now they flipped the script and give you some love in the comments during your interview. Obviously, you're both very popular in the softball world. So I wanted to make sure we shared that. Sid, obviously you're going to be a highly recruited player. I mean, it's no secret what you're bringing to the table. Talk about what it's been like to go through and have games that coaches can watch on ysnlive.com, be able to share your highlights and things like that, and how much that has helped your recruiting process and being able to put all these highlights and these game tapes on social media.
Being able to put the highlights on social media has really helped me because not a lot of coaches can see live games because they're in season. They can't watch. So being able to share the clips has really helped so they can see it on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram. And without that, they want to be able to see what we're doing right now.
Let's talk about this matchup that you guys got coming up too. We mentioned Maddie Hufford too, and you guys still have to play the Howland Tigers. Is there a little bit of jest going back and forth between you and Maddie over maybe text or phone calls about these upcoming games?
Yeah, it's been going on for since the season, like since we got our schedule this season, we've been texting all the time about how she's going to hit off me and how I'm jokingly saying I'm going to hit her in the ribs because I won't, but it's just hit off me.
Yeah, I don't think that would feel too good getting 68 miles an hour into the ribs. Sid, talk about, this is your freshman year. You've had to do a lot of things for the first time. You've had to kind of get your feet wet in the varsity level. You don't look like you're ever nervous, but I'm sure there had to be some when you took the first game and you took your first kind of glimpse into this varsity softball field. What was it like trying to beat those butterflies and to try to calm the nerves a little bit?
I looked at it as it's just another game. No matter how I do, it's just a game. And I mean, I've played at high levels of travel, so I've been able to get past the butterflies pretty easily. But it's honestly not that hard for me.
What is your mentality going into game to game? Because it seems like you top yourself or the next amazing thing. It was 1 no-hitter and then it's 2. And then there's so many single hitters that you've done, 1-hitters that you've thrown, so many double-digit strikeout performances. Now it's 200 plus. Just talk to me. What is kind of that mentality going into game after game? Are you trying to top yourself with this? And what can you say on just these performances, these feats, and these just special moments that you've been able to garner in such a short amount of time?
With going to the game, I try to just do better than I did the last game. But if I don't let it bring me down. Like, I know there's always going to be another game that I could do better than I did the last. But my thing is I just look at it as do the best I can in that game, because no matter who I'm playing for, I give 100% for that team. So I just got to look at it as I'm playing the game I love and just do the best I can that day.
I know we're here to talk about Fitch, but I'm a softball junkie. I'm a nerd, so I have to ask about getting coached by Megan Betza and what that's like in the travel scene. Obviously, All-American, pitching the World Series from Michigan. What's that like to be coached by her and to have that opportunity when you do play travel for the Lady Dukes and all that goes with it?
I haven't got to play with her yet, but because I joined in, I think December or January, I joined the team, and so much has gone on already since we're not allowed to practice since we're shut down for high school, but we Zoom every weekend. We are constantly talking, texting. We're currently reading a book about it's called the 12 pillars. I can't remember the name of that. I think it's called the 12 pillars to success. But we are doing so much before the season since we're not allowed to be with each other. And I could already tell that this season's going to be great just by the videos we post, how we already are bonding without even getting to really meet each other. I mean, they have, but there's still a few of us that haven't got to play yet.
Let's talk about Coach Ward as a coach too, and a coaching influence. I mean, no doubt he's been there, I think, 8 years now. He's had a huge influence over a lot of softball players. What's the best bit of advice that you've gotten from Coach Ward, whether it be a softball or just life advice?
That a game's a game. It doesn't matter how you do, as long as it's what you love.
When you look at the love of the sport, where did it come from? Where did it start? And how has it developed over your journey in the softball world?
It started when I was really young. I had T-ball. I just automatically clicked with the sport, and I'd always want to practice. Like my dad, and it's really helped that my dad has always been there to practice with me, catch me. He spent hours on the bucket. Like I couldn't thank him enough for being there for me the whole time. And he's a huge reason why I'm as good as I am now, is because he's spent the hours with me and has just been there for me the whole time.
Let's talk about the fact that these districts are going to be hosted at Austintown too. So you guys, I mean, as long as you guys continue to do your work in the tournament, you guys get to play on that beautiful field. Talk to me about what it's like to be able to play on one of the better softball facilities in the area too, and how much pride you take into being able to throw in that circle game to game.
It's great. The turf is something most teams don't have, which is the reason we've got to play so many games we have this year, because dealing with rainouts honestly sucks, and we haven't had to deal with them, which is just great because the more games the better.
Before this year, how much have you pitched on turf, and was there any kind of getting used to it or anything that you had to do to kind of adjust to pitching on turf rather than dirt?
Not really. I honestly feel like pitching on turf is easier because it's the same every time. Like, unlike dirt, you have to deal with holes in the mound, divots, and you don't have to deal with that on turf. I feel like it's easier, but I've practiced my whole life on turf, so I feel like it's easier.
Let's talk about this trip you got to have down in Myrtle Beach. I mean, quite the trip to have for a freshman year, too. And I mean, you guys played pretty well down there against some high-level competition. Talk to me about the softball experience as well as just the bonding experience that you got to experience with your team down in Myrtle.
The competition down there was great, and I feel like it really prepared us for coming back to here. But what was better about the trip was how we all came together as a team. I feel like even though we didn't win the 2 games down there, we still were tight and close as a team. And that really helped coming back because there was a little bit of drama down there that dissolved because we're so close that we knew we can't have this in the team. But we came back the next game and were able to pretty much just play like we know how to.
Yeah, talk more about the chemistry of this team and the relationships that you've already been able to build just half or a little bit more than a half of a season in. And obviously, your friends are just commenting galore on this Facebook, comments. What's it been like to you to kind of build these relationships this year and to be able to strengthen friendships with this softball team?
It's been great. All the girls are so loving. We're so close together. I'm sorry, my
It just derailed it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
our friendships have just brought us so much. Like, it helps us play together. Knowing each other so well has helped us on the field. Like, I knew Ayla and Bella way before this. We played travel together, and coming in and getting even closer than we were has been nice. And then building the bond with McKenna behind the plate has also been good because we get to know each other outside of the field. And then bringing that onto the field has just helped us know each other better. Like, knowing where I can throw to her and where her best is for when there's runners on base has really helped too.
Well, we got to talk about these paddles with you too, because we bring up these paddles with, I think, pretty much everyone that comes on from this pitch team. Let's talk about them. We got it from Caitlin where they originated too. But what is your strategy with the paddle that generates the most noise? And what is your go-to paddle? I don't remember the color of your paddle, but do you have like a go-to paddle that's yours?
Yeah, mine's blue with a purple handle. And I use it to just make noise in the dugout, cheer the team up. But the best thing to do is hit it off the water bucket in the dugout.
So that's what I know I'm hearing it bang off of some things too. It's the water bucket.
The trash can, water bucket. It's really anything we find in the dugout that we can hit off it, we do.
You know what, Ty? They find things in the away dugouts too, because I did their game at Boardman, and I know you do a lot of their home games, so they find stuff in visitor dugouts too. That whatever they can find.
They're just practice teeing up the softballs, I guess, too, with the trash cans. I mean, an intimidation factor.
Sydney, we always ask who the loudest in the dugout is too, because it's such a loud dugout with you guys. We got a couple of mixed answers, so we have to give you a vote. Who do you think is the loudest in the dugout?
Definitely Kayla Schubert.
Oh,
there's another vote for Kayla. It's a Kayla vote. It's either Kayla or Allie Foley that we're getting votes for.
It's been split.
Let's talk about this too. Final question for you that I have for you. So we always like to give all of our players a chance to shout out their support system, shout out those people that are always in the stands for them and have supported them along the way too. So I want to give you that chance to kind of put the spotlight on your support system now.
I want to thank my family for always being there. They haven't missed a game all season, especially my sister. She's always there for me, cheering me on. Out of everybody I hear outside of the fence cheering, it's always her. And she's young, but she will never miss a game. There's so many more things she could be doing other than coming to my games, and she's always there supporting me, which I couldn't thank her enough for.
All right, Cindy, before we let you go, what is your go-to post-game meal after a big win, especially after a no-hitter?
Ooh, I have no idea. Probably some type of chicken.
I like it. Chickens, you can't go wrong with chicken, Sid.
Chick-fil-A just slid there in Austintown too. It's perfect.
Oh, geez. Are we about to get a cameo?
Yeah.
Visitors.
Woo!
That's maximum wattage now. We're getting all watts right now.
We love surprise cameos on Running Point. Sid, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to continued success and continued coverage. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you so much.
Oh, man, that's great. Cindy Watts, what do you even call her? Freshman phenom, extraordinaire. I've run out of expletives.
The untouchable Sydney Watts is one of my favorite. I mean, with the amount of no hitters and one hitters she's thrown right now, it's been absolutely incredible. Yeah, I mean, we talk about freshmen that have really set the bar for what softball is looking to become in this area and take that next step. I mean, she's definitely one of those freshmen in this area, I think, leading the way and setting that bar of here's what the new standard's going to be for area softball.
The amplifier, because she's putting out watts.
I like it. I like it. The amplifier.
Throw it out.
Watts.
Like I said it like early in the season after like her second no hitter. I tweeted this out. I said I've run out of words. Right? Like I've seen her live now. You run out of words. It's just she's a premier talent. She's gonna go Division 1, no doubts about it. And I wouldn't be shocked if she went Power 5 or wherever she wants to go.
She might have 1,000 strikeouts in her high school career when it's all said and done.
When you can throw 68 and you add off speed in there, there aren't a lot of colleges that are going to be like that. We don't want you to play for us.
There's another guy on the mound, or that pitches, I should say, that's a pretty big stud as well that can light it up. And we're talking about the Salem Quakers might be the hottest team, I think, in baseball right now. As we talk to Brock Young of the Salem Quakers. And Brock, I guess let's first start there. This hot streak that you guys have been on. Talk about the beginning of the season, the kind of the lumps that you guys took, what you guys needed to do that eventually turned to you guys winning now, 12 in a row, I believe?
Yeah, 12 in a row. We started off pretty slow, actually, splitting with Canton South and then losing 2 to Marlington. But I feel like once we took that trip down to Myrtle Beach, it boosted our confidence. And when we won those 3 and brought it back here, and, we're kind of on a hot streak now. So don't want to jinx us, but we kind of got a little insight of a record maybe, but we'll keep that down low a little bit.
And keep it on the DL. I like that. Brock, when we talked to Coach DeBar earlier this season, he said that in those struggles, the team kind of struggled finding an identity, and he thought that's what went into a lot of the down parts of the season. From your perspective, was there like an identity crisis? Did you guys find it? What was the aha moment, and what really turned the season around?
I mean, we're pretty aggressive at the plate. I think that we had a lot of pressure on us from last year, so we wanted to play the best we could, but we just kind of had to go back and calm down and just know what we can do and just play our best we can.
You got to win the Salem Hard Hat too, as you guys were able to win your 12th in a row and a 4-3 win against South Range. Talk to me about going up against one of the area's best in the Raiders, what it took for you guys to take them down, and what were you feeling on the mound that night?
We scrimmaged them early and we won that one, but coming in, we knew they were a great baseball team, and starting off pitching was my first start of the season. So kind of like I was trying to get them to swing a little bit, but I knew we have a great defense behind me if anything happened. So pretty much I trusted what I was throwing, trusted Darius calling pitches, and it all kind of worked out.
Everyone knows that pitchers are so routine oriented. So go into your game day routine, especially when you're going to get the start, and how you get in that mindset and what it's kind of like to get ready for a start, and then obviously toe that rubber for the start of the game.
So it's actually kind of different from our pitchers. We have a lot of pitchers that like to warm up, get there early, have like an hour warm up. I kind of just get there, stretch out a little bit, and honestly just like to throw a little bit. Like if I needed to, I need like a 30-minute warm up. Honestly, I really don't need a long warm up.
Got to pair that with asking, is there any superstitions that you have too, or any kind of things like that where you can't cross that line too, or else you feel off?
Not really from pitching, hitting most definitely, but not really pitching. I kind of just, do my stretches, stuff like that, and I'm ready to go.
What's the hitting ones then? What are these hitting superstitions then?
It's kind of like, I don't know, like once I get up, I feel like I got to take like 2 swings right before that first pitch of the batter in front of me. I don't know what it is, but it's just something like it.
With Salem's schedule, you've had the chance to go up against great lineups and also go up against great pitching. How much do you think this schedule and the teams you get to play have really prepared you for the tournament that's going to be starting here in a couple of weeks?
Definitely around our area. We have, especially our league, we have some great pitchers, scouting from Marlington, which we know is great. But we've seen a whole lot of different pitchers from fast to slow. But I think we definitely do hitting better as a team when we know what's on the line and who's pitching and, what we can accomplish.
Let's talk about this spring break trip. And I mean, Anthony mentioned too, you guys were kind of struggling a little bit early in the season for finding the identity. Was spring break something that kind of helped hit that reset button for you guys? And did it kind of, I don't want to say take the pressure off of you guys, but kind of help clear your minds afterwards?
I think, yeah, it definitely helped us coming back. We went down there. We knew one of the teams was all right, but the other two were definitely pretty good. And the second team we played, Victor, they were definitely the best team we saw down there and definitely the best pitching. But I think we knew that going down there was a way to get away from reality down here and just see what we can do versus other teams.
And the reality up here in the April was dodging weather left and right. And we've heard the strain it's put especially on pitchers in baseball. What's been your routine to try to keep that arm fresh and not have arm soreness during the stops and starts and trying to keep yourself as healthy as possible?
Definitely just like stretching every day, making sure that you're ready to go at any time. Maybe throw a bullpen here and there, but not much. Just kind of keeping it healthy and ready.
Let's talk about some of these upcoming games that you guys have too. What's it going to take for you guys to finish strong before tournament time? And I know you guys got to be looking ahead to those 2 games with the guys in green over there in Beloit.
Yeah, we want to get them pretty bad, especially last year. I mean, every year you want to beat and sweep your rival, which would be West Branch. But the upcoming games, we got Louisville, which is going to be a hard-fought game. So they're pretty good this year. We beat them last year in the sectional final, but I feel like from last week, 5 games, 5 in a row, is pretty hard to do, but we ended up managing to do that, hopefully getting a good seed in the tournament. But I feel like these next couple games, we can win out.
You know, we know athletes like to keep their diet good and like to keep themselves healthy, but I'm sure every kid in high school has a guilty pleasure dessert or a snack or a candy. What's your guilty pleasure meal?
I don't know. That's a hard question. I don't know. I like to go to Chipotle. It's pretty good, especially since we just got one here in Salem.
They're moving everything everywhere right now too. Chipotle, big things too. It's probably going to be a huge hangout spot for Salem. Let's talk about too this baseball season as a whole and just you going into it. What were some of your role models going into Salem baseball too, whether it be professional or whether it be some previous Quakers that you looked up to and that you kind of tried to mold your craft after?
I kind of like growing up looking after my brother from pitching. I've always looked up to him, and then my dad was always a big key in what I've been able to do baseball wise. He's always taken me to go hit at a cage or just throwing with me whenever we were growing up, but definitely my brother for when I was growing up for pitching.
You know, tell me what it means to you to be a Quaker and to be a part of this community that supports their athletics so much.
It means a lot, especially after last year. A lot of the community came together, people we've never seen before at games, especially when we made that tournament run. So all the support they give and all the money that people give back to us to help us get a better facility is very thanked.
Let's talk about that now that you're a senior too, and you looked at these role models that you had going into it. Is there any guys that you try to mentor now, whether they be freshmen, sophomores, other guys that are kind of looking up to you now, asking those same kind of questions and just looking for guidance?
There's definitely a couple younger people on our team that I think look up to me from a captain standpoint. But there's also a couple like young kids in the community that come to our games, love to talk to me. So that's pretty good to get to talk to them and tell them how good baseball is and what to look forward to.
What is one piece of advice that you give to younger baseball players that want to grow up and be a part of this varsity program?
Definitely stick with it. Even if it's not working out, it'll come around in the end. And it's a great experience to have, grow with people, grow with the coaches, and just get to know people.
And flip side of that, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received from a coach that you follow in day-to-day life, whether it be game advice or life advice?
That's hard. Definitely, I think, just enjoy life, enjoy what you have in high school. But when reality comes, there's going to be tough times, but just get through that and it'll work out in the end.
All right, obviously you are a student athlete. We have to talk about the student side as well. What are some of your favorite things to study, and who have been some teachers in the Salem school system that have impacted your journey?
To study, definitely science. I like math, but, wouldn't suggest it for me. But teachers wise, definitely Miss McCracken, who I had in English back in my freshman year, which recently passed a couple years ago, which is sad. But she was she changed my life a lot when it came to school, and how she taught just made a lot of sense to me.
Brock, as we like to do with all of our student athletes too, we like to give them a chance to shout out their support system and those people that are in the stands and have supported them throughout their entire baseball career. So I want to give you that opportunity to do so.
Definitely want to shout out my mom and dad who came to all my games, helped me growing up through sports. My grandparents try to come to every game. Definitely love seeing that text from my grandma after every game about how great I did and, stuff I could work on or what was working well and stuff like that. Since my brother's in college, he tries to come to some games, but when he does, it's nice to see him there. And my girlfriend tries to come to some when she's not working, which is nice to see the whole family there.
Brock, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and talk a little bit about the Salem baseball program. We know you're going to have continued success this year. We wish you the best of luck, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for having me.
Brock Young, one of the leaders of Salem Quaker baseball, one of the big reasons why they were able to beat South Range over the weekend. We thank him for his time, and what a great interviews we've had so far.
Complete game masterpiece from Brock Young too, as he struck out 7, and that's a very good Raiders lineup. So no doubt, gotta give the tip of the hat too, as he got the Quaker hat. Did Brock Young in that performance too, and that's a huge win. We'll see if it pays dividends for Salem in the power rankings too. I feel like it definitely turned some heads.
I love that Quaker hat on social media. I think it's one of the best ideas ever, and it's funny because it also fuels other teams because other teams are annoyed by it. So they're like, we're not going to let this guy get a Quaker hat against us. I've heard that said, multiple teams that play saying like, we're not going to let this kid get a Salem hat. So it's when you can affect the other team, then you've done
something right.
You're doing something right.
Shout out Coach DeBar too for that. It's a great thing too that they've instilled there, and I love that. I love it. I hope it stays for tradition over there with the Quakers.
Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get it up for Tori Strines of Boardman softball. We'll also be able to feature an interview with Olivia Keller from Beaver Local softball. We'll talk about softball brackets and the tournament coming up and all the games that are happening tonight on the network. Don't go anywhere. This is Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need, regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. And we are going to be joined by Boardman softball freshman pitcher Tori Strines on Running Point. Tori, thank you so much for the time and coming on to talk with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tori, let's first and foremost talk about this just experience playing with Boardman softball this year too, coming up as a freshman too. What has this experience been like, and what have you learned from the Spartans so far?
It's been a great season, I think, so far. It's a nice opportunity actually starting as a freshman on varsity, coming in knowing there's 10 seniors on the team, and I think it's just a great time.
When you look at some of the things that have made it a little bit easier and taken away those butterflies, what have really taken away your nerves and let you be able to just relax in the circle?
Just knowing that I have an amazing defense behind me, knowing that they're going to give their full effort when I need them to, and that they will always be there for me, and knowing that I have another good backup pitcher behind me, knowing that she can come in when I need her to help me get out of the struggle.
What's been one of the biggest things you've learned or noticed that's different from the 8th grade softball level to now being in the varsity level of freshman year?
It's just that it's like different with everything. That varsity, you see all different ages through freshmen through seniors. 8th grade, you really don't see that as much, and seeing the bigger competition and stuff in the high school level is a lot tougher. But it's going to really help with me going up through my next couple years in Boardman.
In your last outing, you went up against a Massillon Jackson team out of the Federal League, and your counterpart was a Division I Power 5 recruit. And you went toe-to-toe with her. I mean, it was a 1-0 loss, but you really pitched right with her. How much confidence do you think that gives you going forward into the season?
It really helps my confidence, because knowing that I had a few strikeouts that game with her, And it was just a tough loss going in after it because, she's a Purdue commit and she's got that pitching and movement on her. But my defense really stepped up when we need to, and they just came out strong when they needed to and scored that one run, and we couldn't push in a run on our side, and it's tough.
Let's talk about Coach Moots too, and how much he's been an influence to your softball career too, and the short time that you've gotten to be with him in the varsity level.
He's really boosted my confidence. He's helped. He tries to bring me up when I'm starting to go down, but he's really given me some great advice when I'm on the mound and when I'm in my struggles. He really tries to boost me out of it. It's a great time.
You're getting a lot of love in the comments section, and I know you have a lot of friends in the softball community that are outside of Boardman that you play with travel or you play against with travel. What's it like being a part of this tight-knit softball community and all the friends that you've been able to make through softball?
It's a really fun time. When we played Fitch, I knew almost every girl on that team, and it was just like a really fun game to me. Going in, knowing that Sydney Watts, she's an amazing pitcher, but like I've known her, I've played with her, played against her, and all of those girls, knowing how good they are and how tough it is to pitch against that lineup that they have because you just know them and know the big hitters they have when they need to have them, and it's a nice time.
Talk to me when you're experiencing pressure in that circle. Maybe there's some base runners on too, and it's a big time to get an out right now. What are some things you're doing to gather your composure and some things you're telling yourselves to focus up before a big matchup?
I don't really think about much in the circle. I just go out there, do my job, do what I need to. But the one thing that really helps me is my shortstop, Jen Alexa. She really helps boost my confidence. When there's a runner on, she'll be like, you do your thing, you do it, we're here behind you. We'll get these balls, we'll field them, we'll give our full effort. She really helps boost it, and especially on 0-2 count, she's like, throw your pitch, you know what you need to throw here. It's really amazing.
And one of the things I've noticed, Tori, and in the couple games I've been able to call for you, man, you pitch so well with runners on base. Is when runners get on, is there like another gear that you get into that says my pitches have to be even better now because I have runners on base? Because it doesn't faze you to have traffic on the base pass.
I'm thinking, I'm like, I can't let these runners score. I think if they put the ball in play, I know my defense is there behind me to stop them. But it's even better to get that strikeout with that runner on second, no outs, and it just really makes them excited. Then it really just helps boost everyone and get them excited when you get that big strikeout when needed, or when the runner's on and they stop and we don't let them score. It's just it just gets everyone excited.
Been a theme asking this question today, and I'm going to keep it on with you too. What's the best piece of advice that you've gotten from a coach in your softball career?
I would have to say when I'm going up to bat, my coaches always tell me, do your thing. This is your at bat. Be smart. You know what you need to do. Don't worry about anything. Go in there with the confidence you have, and just know that you can make things happen.
You've had a lot of success this year, Tori, and with success comes expectations, right? Like everyone on the outside all of a sudden expects you to be great every time in and out. How do you handle outside expectations and outside pressure and not let it kind of affect your mentality in your game?
When I go into a softball game, I think about barely anything. I think about the game, and I don't worry about the things that are going on in the outside of the game until I'm finished with it, because you just don't want that pressure on top of other pressure you have going into the game with anything like knowing that these people are going to be there, that you got to be good for them. Like, you just don't want to worry about that stuff. You just want to play your game and be the softball player that you are. And that's what I think about the pressure. I try not to let it get to me during it. So it's just, I don't know. It's just like, don't let it bother you sometimes.
We talk about your talent level. We talked with Sydney Watts and her talent level, and just so many other freshmen in the area that are really stepping up and being big contributors for their teams. I want to ask you, too, what you can say about the freshman level of play that we're seeing in the area. And pair that too with just, do you feel like you have a chip on your shoulder going into a season being a freshman? Do you have something to prove then to a varsity team?
It's just nice seeing all the freshmen and see how much everyone in the freshman class is succeeding and how many freshmen are actually on varsity, knowing that there have been people there before them and how much they've worked to outshine the other players that are there. It's just nice seeing this class that's really succeeding throughout the time, and just seeing how much better that we're going to get and how much more the competition is going to be during this upcoming seasons.
Obviously, you love softball. You play softball a lot. What are some things that you do outside of the sport, though, when it does get too much or you do need a mental break or whatever it does, whatever it may be, to give yourself that mental break from the sport?
I would hang out with my friends, or I actually used to play basketball, so I go out and sometimes shoot hoops in my driveway because I just don't want to think about that sport, or I watch Netflix because it just helps keep my mind off of it.
For when you're looking for a good laugh on the team too, who's one of the goofiest players on the team, and what's one of the goofiest things they've done?
Well, there's a few. Dana Haas is one. Cassidy is one of the ones when we're on the field and there's like maybe the bases are loaded, she'll come up and say something to me and just get me laughing. And it's just like she knows how to like clear the air and keep everything. She's like a very sarcastic person. Jenna Alexa is another one. They really make people laugh just out on the field, or they say jokes that make people, they're like, it's just like all sarcasm.
What's Tori Strine's playlist look like, especially before a game, to get yourself hyped up for softball?
I really don't know. I don't listen to music when we're on the bus. We have sometimes Josie Porter will bring and play the music, or Dana will play the music, and they play songs that really get us hyped up, and they ask people for suggestions and they play them, and it's basically how it goes almost every bus ride.
Do you have any superstitions that if you don't follow, you feel off, and whether it be in the circle or at bat?
No, not really. We have this like little joke that says if Jenna Alexa doesn't take the throw down, that we're going to have a bad inning, or if we drop the ball in the field, that we're going to have a bad inning during warm-ups. But I really don't have any superstitions while going or pitching or anything.
All right, outside of your wonderful facility in Boardman, what's been your favorite place to play softball so far in your career?
I would have to say down in Findlay. We played at where Findlay's college softball teams. I played there with Valley Extreme. It was a really, really nice facility. Another one is Fitch. I really like their turf field. It really comes in handy when they need it with the rains and everything.
What's one of the go-to meals after a big win for Tori Strines?
Chick-fil-A. I eat Chick-fil-A nonstop. I eat it sometimes before a game, after a game. Whenever I can have it, I will eat Chick-fil-A.
Except Sundays, right?
Except Sundays.
What's the go-to order there?
A Chick-fil-A sandwich with a large fry and a large sweet tea.
Okay. Now, if you had Chick-fil-A milkshakes, I'm wondering where you rank Chick-fil-A's milkshakes, a part of the milkshake world.
I would say top 10, maybe 9. They'd probably be 9 on my milkshake list.
All right. Then, retrospect, who's the best milkshake? Like, who has the best milkshake out there?
Handles. I love Handles milkshakes.
Yeah. That's the bar. That is the bar. Like, you can't go away from that. Tori, let's just give you a chance to, like we do with all of our players. I like giving them a chance to kind of shout out those support system. We know that you get a lot of support. You're getting a lot of love in the comments section right now. But shout out those people that have been there for you in the stands, cheering you on throughout your softball career.
I would like to thank my family. They're always there for me, but the two that are always there for me and have coached me all my way are my Aunt Kimmy and Nikki. They've really helped me boost my confidence. They've taught me the game since I've been little, and they try to come to every game they can, but my aunt's one of the coaches at Austintown, so she can't make many games. So when we played Austintown, it was like a friendly family game, and she would make comments at me before the game and say stuff while I was warming up. But like, they've just been there and they've really helped me, and they've taught me almost everything I've known. They've coached me since I was like 8, and it's a really nice confidence to have, knowing that they're going to be there when they can, and all of my family.
Tori, we appreciate the time so much. We love covering you. We look forward to your continued success, and we know that we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
Tori Strines, one of the freshman standouts of the softball world, especially in our area. And we've talked about it before, Ty. Almost every team has at least one freshman on their lineup that's like, oh my gosh, where'd she come from? And Tori Strines, probably one of those girls, you didn't expect Boardman to have to go too far outside of Madison Lester in the circle. But, man, Tori Strines locking up the world, and now she leads the team in innings pitched because of how good she's doing. And to Coach Mootz's point, her work ethic. I'm going to bring that comment up real quick again. But her work ethic is above reproach.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I tell you what, you always look at those teams that have not just one great pitcher, but have two that you can go to. And Boardman right now in the tournament, yeah, they're a lower seed. I'll say it where it is too. When we look at it, we'll look at where they're placed. But two pitchers, one's a freshman that's a stud right now, and the other one is a senior leader that knows how to have success. That's going to have continued success. Has a college coming already to Cal U. This is a Boardman team, I think, that could surprise a lot of people going into the tournament too. Especially, all it takes is for these two pitchers to catch a little bit of heat too. They catch a little bit of fire going into this tourney. Look out, Spartans can be the real deal.
And that's not the end of the Spartan softball coverage for the week either. We confirmed just earlier today that Dana Haas will be joining us at 12 tomorrow, and Cassidy Bryan will be right after her. So 12 and 12:15 for those two, and those are two of the seniors. We just talked to a freshman, but 2 of the 8 seniors. That'll make 3 seniors that we've talked to on Running Point, because we've already had Madison Lester on. So make sure to tune in for that if you're a Boardman softball fan, and we'll have 2 more seniors taken care of off the Boardman softball.
We have 4 Spartans now, so we just need 296 more, and we'll be good. Just get 296 more Spartan interviews, and we're good. We probably have more than that. If we look at through all the sports, we probably got more than that.
So I love it.
Chipping away to 300, baby. We're getting the Spartans.
That was gold, Ty. Sometimes our stuff is like, oh man, that was cheesy, but that was good. That got me. It actually derailed me a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Excuse me while I compose myself real quick. Man, we have Olivia Keller to get to, don't we? Olivia Keller, gonna feature her interview right now. It's pre-recorded. You can find it on ysnlive.com as well. But if you missed it, and if you want to see it, here's Olivia Keller, senior from Beaver Local Softball, joining myself in a great player profile interview. Anthony Hartwig here with a Beaver Local softball player profile. I am joined by Olivia Keller from Beaver Local. Olivia, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You got it. And here it comes, the senior year that everyone talks about for you. And I know you're kind of going through it like everyone else, trying to dodge the weather. What's it kind of been like this year, trying to get as much as you can from it while trying to dodge the weather like everyone has this spring?
Yeah, we've had many cancellations. I'd say so far we've had at least to reschedule 5 games this year because of rain.
When it's like that and you don't know if you're going to play or not, and it's kind of stop and start, how do you guys kind of stay mentally focused?
We usually practice on the days that it gets rained out from like 5 to 7 every single day. So it really helps us stay focused.
What's it like going through everything this year, knowing that everything you do, it's kind of like for the last time you do it as a part of this program?
Every year I try to put in as much effort as I can, and I'm just trying to help my team out and stay focused.
Yeah, you're asked to be a leader this year as an upperclassman, and what's it kind of like gelling these seniors that you guys have with the younger players on the team and trying to become a unit?
Um, the three seniors on varsity, my second baseman and my first baseman, have been playing together for years since like we were 8, and we love to keep the team up on their feet and keep them excited to play. And all the freshmen this year are great. My catcher is great. All the underclassmen are great.
Yeah, I mean, as a pitcher, you have to have a good relationship with your catcher. Talk about the dynamic and the relationship between you two and what makes it so special.
Oh, I love Tori. She's a great person on and off the field. She has a great arm. She's had many throwdowns this year. She's just a really good catcher overall.
I know there have to be a couple of times where she has to come to you in the circle and say something that gets your mind off of what's going on. So, what's the best thing that she said in kind of a timeout conversation with you in the circle?
Um, I'd say just to finish the inning, like stay focused. Like she told me, like I know it's gonna be like hard to finish, but you have to do it.
All right, talk about this coaching staff and what it's been like to be under them and how much they've helped you grow, not just as a softball player, but as a person as well.
Oh well, Cash Dollar, he's been my coach these past 4 years. He's like one of my best friends. He supports me no matter what. Even if something bad happens, he's still there. He's always got my back. And then Coach Jones, she's always motivating us, always making us stay focused. No matter what, she's always there for me.
Having someone named Cash Dollar as a coach has to come with a lot of opportunities to make that into a war chant, I bet.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you like to do before a game to get yourself mentally ready and psyched up to play softball?
Oh my gosh. We always have karaoke sessions. I bring my big speaker in with the microphone, and we always karaoke and have jam sessions before every game.
All right, so if we took you down to the karaoke, what would be like the go-to karaoke song for Olivia Keller?
Um, I'd say Bet on It from the High School Musical series.
Okay, now wait, who's the best on the team at doing karaoke though?
Oh, definitely Lauren Piscatelli.
What is the like? Is there a jam that she really like? Okay, every time she comes to the mic, you know she's picking this jam because she really nails it.
Definitely One Direction. Anything One Direction.
You gotta love it. Talk about some of the things that you had as personal goals coming into this season and wanting to accomplish before the season was over.
I definitely say uh pitching. Like I didn't really come into the season wanting to pitch, but my coach really needed me and my team really needed me. So I'd say one of my goals is just to pitch the best I can possibly pitch every game.
What's that been like? I mean, like you said, you came into the season. It wasn't something that you were expecting or something that you necessarily wanted, but to just be able to do something because your teammates need you to do it. I mean, what's that feeling like?
It's a good feeling because every game, if we do good, they're always telling me how proud of me they are, and I don't know, it's just a great feeling.
Now, I know you're committed to play at the next level. I don't want to take this moment away from you, so I want you to tell everyone, in case they don't know, where you've decided to go next year and play softball at the next level.
Yeah, I've decided to go to Geneva College to pursue my softball career.
Golden Tornadoes. Talk about what went into this decision and what kind of made Geneva the spot that you landed.
Ever since I went and visited the campus, I just love the campus. I love how it's close to home. I love my teammates there. I love the coaches. I love my roommate. She's also on the softball team. It's just great overall.
Was there one moment during a visit or maybe a conversation with the coaching staff that really won you over?
I'd say definitely the girls on the team there talking about how great like the biology program is there and the coach saying how much he needed me on his team. That just made me feel really good.
All right, so now that you are committed and you don't have to worry about being recruited anymore, how much stress did that take off of you going into this year of high school ball to just be able to just focus on Beaver local softball and making your teammates and the team as good as it can be and not having to worry about the other stuff, impressing coaches and where you're going to go and all that stress that comes with the recruiting process?
It actually feels really great because like every time I go up to the plate, I don't feel like I have to hit a home run or I have to like hit a line drive. I just like try to like stay calm and stay patient and focused.
And we know there are a lot of ups and downs that come with softball anyway. what are some of your routines that you try to stick to so you don't ride that roller coaster too much and get too low on the lows and get too high on the highs?
I love just practicing after school every day. If we don't have a game, just like hitting into the net, going to my softball field, just hitting balls with my dad, just anything to stay positive.
Playing softball for as long as you do comes with a great work ethic, and you have to be able to have a drive for the sport. So, with that work ethic, what's the one thing that you think in your high school career that you've improved the most on from freshman year to now?
I say my hitting 100%. Freshman year, I was really nervous. I was not very confident in myself, and ever since my junior year hit, it's been so much better.
Was there a eureka moment or something that a coach told you that really fixed your swing or got you to hit a little bit better?
Probably Coach Jones. Just everything she says to me makes me want to do better, and I try so hard to practice every day since then.
Like you said before, you've been playing since you were 8. So when you're growing up and you're going through the softball journey, were there any softball players that you watched growing up, whether it be on the TV with college or Beaver local grads that you just said, I kind of want to emulate this person or I want to learn how to play like this person?
Definitely Jenny Finn. She's always been someone I look up to, and also Kat Osterman.
Oh, for someone that didn't want to pitch this year, you
Yeah.
picked amazing pitchers in the game of softball. When you talk about some of the people in your life personally that have helped you throughout this journey, what kind of people kind of come to mind as your support system and the people that are there for you?
I'd say number one, my dad. He's been there ever since I started playing softball. He's been my rec ball coach, been my travel ball coach for at least 5 years. He's just a great guy.
All right, there's always that story about that softball dads and the softball coaches that are also dads. So I'm going to ask you about that dynamic and what it's been like to grow up with the softball dad and to be able to be coached by him and to be able to learn from him, but also be able to share that with him.
I say it's both good and bad. He's a good coach. He always knows what to do in certain situations, and sometimes it's just like bad because it's my dad. And he's like really hard on me, but he's hard on me to only make me better.
Was he always into softball, or did he kind of take this softball journey with you as you fell in love with it?
I say he took it with me. Like I've wanted to play since I was like 5 years old, and ever since then, he's always wanted to be there for me and be there with me along my journey.
Now, obviously, you're a basketball player at Beaver Local too, multiple sport athlete. What was it like, kind of transitioning from the basketball season to the softball season, and kind of keeping yourself in shape during basketball?
Well, during my basketball season, I did fracture my tibia and sprain my MCL. So I've just been trying to like work out and get my legs stronger ever since then. But I'd say I've came a long way ever since then.
Well, gosh dang, how do you mentally come back from that? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not just like, oh, I made an oopsie injury. That's like, I really got to come back from this injury. What was the mental grind of trying to rehab yourself after doing that?
I had to do weeks and weeks of physical therapy. I was on crutches for at least like 2 months. It was rough. I missed like 3/4 of my basketball season, but I'm glad to be back for softball.
And now, softball is a game where your legs are so important. I mean, was there kind of a moment there at the beginning of the season where maybe you had to work on trusting your plant leg and trusting that it was going to be there and it was going to be strong enough for you to hold up?
Yeah, I definitely say at the beginning of the season, I definitely had to push through a little bit of like pain in my leg. So yeah.
All right. So now you've gone through all of that. You reflect on this softball career. You reflect on this season a little bit. What's been some of your favorite memories that you've had with this program throughout the years?
Definitely meeting all these new girls on my softball team, like the freshmen, of how all had a huge impact on me. And I'd say some of my favorite memories would be like bus rides, karaokeing, going out to eat after. Just our team bonds a lot.
What makes you so proud to represent Beaver Local and to wear the colors and to wear the Beaver Local across your chest?
Just being surrounded by all the people, like my coaches and teammates, just makes me proud to go to that school.
And we know how strong this community is too. The support every athlete gets from Beaver Local, it's like its own little monster down there. What's it like to feel the support from people, no matter what sport you're playing?
It's great. Like the student sections at Beaver Local are great. Like everyone's positive.
And not to forget that you're a student athlete first, so we can't go this interview without asking you about your schoolwork and what your favorite class is, and who are some teachers in the Beaver local schools that have impacted your journey.
Okay, I'd say definitely Mrs. Hendricks, my teacher, my English teacher this year. She's a great person. She's always there for me. And I'd definitely say just the whole, like, my principals, they're all there for me. They're always supporting me on my softball journey. So, yeah.
What are you planning on studying in Geneva when you go into college?
I'm planning on studying biology to become a physical therapist.
Awesome. I'm sure you need to. Were you inspired to do that when you were going through all the physical therapy with your leg, or was that something that you wanted to do even before the injury?
It's been in my mind ever since I was little, but, like, when I went for my knee for basketball, like, just seeing what they do and how they, like, talk to me and just meeting new people was just looks so much fun to do.
And what's your what thing are you most excited about getting on college campus and starting your college journey?
I'd say meeting new people and just playing softball in general.
Okay, so we talked about your pregame routine, and before we let you go, I want to get to know a little bit about your postgame routine. What's the go-to postgame meal for Olivia Keller?
I'd say El Paso around here. We love good Mexican food around here.
What's the best order when you go to El Paso?
I'd say pollo con crema. So good.
Okay, so what about stuff that you have in the dugout? Is there a snack? Is there a refreshment that you have to have? Gatorade? Like, what's the go-to during game beverage? I should say.
I'd say beverage wise, definitely Gatorade or Body Armor, something like that.
All right, what's the Gatorade flavor? What's your favorite?
Orange all the way.
Yes. When you think about, we already talked about the karaoke and your go-to karaoke jams, but what about like the hype playlist and the things that get you really hyped to play a softball game?
We like always make sound effects in the dugout, and it just gets us excited for every at bat.
You know, the softball dugouts are a unique thing in sports. No one cheers like a softball dugout. What's been your favorite chant as part of a softball dugout?
We do this one sound effect. It's called the ring ding ding, but it's like really, really annoying.
Got to be a little bit annoying for the other team in there. When you talk about who the loudest teammate in the dugout is, what comes to mind?
Lauren, definitely Lauren.
What about the one person on your team that no matter what the situation is in the game or what you're going through, can always tell a joke that will make you laugh?
Definitely Lexi.
All right, before we let you go, Olivia, I know you already shouted out a couple of people that support you, but I do want to give you the time that if there's anyone that you haven't mentioned that you want to kind of thank for your support system and the people that are there for you, I want to give you the time to thank them.
I'd like to thank my mom and dad for always supporting me. I'd like to thank all my teammates in high school softball and travel softball on Ohio Blast. I'd like to thank my dad, which is also my Ohio Blast coach, and my softball coaches, Coach Jones and Cash Dollar.
All right, Olivia, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We look forward to your continued success, and we know that we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, thank you.
That was Olivia Keller, senior at Beaver Local for their softball program, and Geneva softball commit, so she'll be continuing her academic and athletic career next season at Geneva after she's done at Beaver Local. Ty, without further ado, we have tournaments to talk about in softball, right? So the seedings, they got released on Saturday, and then the brackets got released on Sunday. In Division I, Austintown fits the 1 seed in Division I Northeast District. I don't think it's a shocker there. I think Hoover had like maybe a stake in that claim because obviously everyone knows what Hoover brings to the table. But 9-2 Hoover, they 14-2 Fitch. Fitch gets the win.
Yeah, and Fitch will be playing the winner of Roosevelt and Canton McKinley in the sectional semi.
And that is 27th seeded Canton McKinley and
22 seeded Kent Roosevelt. Yes, sir. And don't forget these districts will be held in Austintown too. So
regardless of whether or not Fitch makes it there, like they were Austintown.
It is in Austintown, so it stays in Austintown too.
Sectionals will be hosted though. I think sectionals are at the higher team's facility.
And then Fitch would play, like we said, the winner Roosevelt and Camp McKinley. Next line of that bracket, it's Louisville and Howland. And that's going to be a great matchup as it's these two teams that are colliding again, a cat battle that we're going to have. And that's going to be a pretty good one too, Ant.
So this is how, let's just go with the seedings. Fitch got the 1 seed, Hoover 2, New Philadelphia 3, Riverside 4, Walsh Jesuit 5, Massillon Jackson 6, Green 7, Mayfield 8, Minter 9, Massillon Washington 10, Chardon 11, Massillon Perry, the reigning state champions, are 12. Howland got the 13, Boardman the 14. North is the 15, Uniontown Lake is 16, Louisville is 17, Nordonia 18, Ellett 19, Hudson 20, Stone Monroe Falls is 21, Roosevelt 22. Let's see, Willoughby South is 23, Glen Oak is 24, Solon is 25, Twinsburg 26, Canton McKinley 27, Madison 28, Warren Harding 29, Kenmore Garfield 30, Cuyahoga Falls 31, and then Brush is 32, Lakeside 33. So
I'm just gonna
33 teams.
I'm just going over the teams that we have too and just where they line up in the bracket. So we talked about where Fitch is. I do want to mention though that as long as Fitch takes care of whoever wins out of Roosevelt and McKinley, we can have a guaranteed YSN representative in the district final though, because it's Louisville and Howland on the other tree of that one too, and that's 3 of the 4 teams we have in D1. And then Boardman is hosted over in the Massillon Washington side. And I believe they have a bye at the 14 seed. They're going to be playing the winner of Uniontown Lake and Cuyahoga Falls.
And those both are down there, as Uniontown Lake is the last seed and Cuyahoga Falls is the 3rd to last seed. So Lakeside is the one team that doesn't have a win in this seeding. You said Uniontown Lake there, didn't you?
Yeah, Lakeside is playing Stone Monroe Falls
right.
And the next line. Yep.
Yep. I got Lakeside and Uniontown Lake mixed up. Uniontown Lake is I'm looking for him.
The highest seed Boardman's going to have to get through to get to a district final will be New Philadelphia, though.
16 seed is Uniontown Lake, and New Philadelphia is the 3.
That's the one that's on the bottom side of that bracket. So the highest seed that Boardman potentially would have to get through is New Philadelphia in Division 1. But those are...
Correct me if I'm wrong. Hoover went in the Fitch's bracket, right?
Hoover is let me double check real quick. Hoover is not in Fitch's bracket. Hoover is over in, if they're not in Boardman's bracket, they actually might be.
I didn't know you could go through 3. Well, I guess with 30 teams, it makes sense that there's 3 brackets.
What was Hoover's seeding?
2.
They were 2. So they might be actually. Hold on, let me double check that Fitch one. Unless I didn't think there would be. I mean, there might be. You might be right, Ant. With 33 teams, they have to be because they're not in the Fitch bracket. So let me double check on this for us.
Yeah. Well, you find it. We'll go over in Division 2.
Yeah, give the seedings for Division 2.
Give the seedings for Division 2. Marlington got the 1 seed. They are 12-1. West Branch 2, Poland 3, Hubbard 4, Canfield 5, Field 6, Aurora 7. Perry, Ohio. Perry is 8, Lakeview 9, Alliance 10, Harvey is 11, Salem is 12, Chardon, Notre Dame Cathedral Latin is 13. You have Girard at 14, Geneva at 15, Struthers at 16, Edgewood at 17, Kenston at 18, Jefferson at 19, Streetsboro at 20, West Geauga at 21, Southeast at 22. Niles McKinley will be at 23. 24 is Ravenna. 25 is Youngstown East. And Cheney is 26.
Got an answer for you. So it was the opposite. Hoover didn't go after Fitch. They avoided him at all costs. They went into the Menor district, and they're the top line there. That's the district that wouldn't have to play. They wouldn't play Fitch until regional final. And Fitch would have to make it out of the regional semis to face Hoover in the regional final. If everything went chalk, of course, too. But we know that that's so hard to happen.
I know, but I know Hoover's coach, and I was really expecting him to go right at Fitch because he has a D1 pitcher too. And
he might be wanting that matchup though, regional final matchup between, and that would be a heck of a matchup. Yeah. You talked about the Division II, though. We go into the Hubbard district, and yeah, you talked Marlington's number 1. Yeah, they wouldn't play. They're at the top line of this bracket. Marlington's the highest seed you'd have to go through. Youngstown, East, and Lakeview are hosted in this one. East is facing off against Alliance, and then the winner of that one would play the winner of Lakeview and Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. That's another test for Lakeview, too.
Draw for Lakeview. I mean, you look at Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, and yes, they're a lower seed than Lakeview. They're sitting at the 13 seed, but they're 4-2. They've gotten 6 games in. Like, how do you really judge a team on 4-2?
Yeah.
I don't know. We know that in every other sport, they're obviously well tested. They play a good schedule. That's scary for Lakeview if I'm the Bulldogs. If I'm Coach Schick, I'm scared of that draw.
Bottom line of the bracket, Hubbard will have it. This is in Hubbard, too. Remember, districts are regardless, but Hubbard's the 4 seed. They'll play the winner of Ravenna and Ashtabula Edgewood. And then another one of our teams just on the other line of the bracket, Salem, plays Ravenna Southeast in a sectional semi, where the winner will play 6-seeded Mogador Field.
You know, I'm surprised that Southeast is D2 in softball because they're like D3 and everything else. So
yeah, I'm surprised about that too, honestly. We looked at 2. You said in the Jefferson district.
We have to look at West Branch because they are the 2 seed.
The Jefferson district, West Branch is at the top line of that. They'll be playing the winner of Niles and Girard, who will be competing in the sectional semis. Also in this line of the bracket, Struthers will be playing Jefferson area 16 versus 19 in the next line. And the winner of that game will play the winner of the sectional semifinal between Poland Seminary and Youngstown Cheney to battle in the sectional final.
You know, and we'll talk about these brackets and these tournament matchups in much more depth as they get closer. But, you know, the seeding is very interesting. Marlington, West Branch, Poland, Hubbard, Canfield.
So a lot of our teams. I mean,
try to separate those teams. Canfield, Poland split. You know, West Branch has only played Marlington once, and they lost by 1 in 10 innings. Hubbard and Poland, they split. Like, how do you really separate those two? How do you separate those 5?
Here's the great thing for us, though, Ant. For that top line of the bracket, it's all YSN, so we're guaranteed at least one YSN team in that district final, in the Jefferson district final.
Let's go.
And then we look at, too, the bottom line of the bracket. Canfield they got the bye as the 5 seed, too. They're the sectional. They're already in the sectional final. They'll play the winner of Painesville, Harvey, and Geneva in the sectional semi.
Yeah, and Geneva is the 15 seed.
Yes, and Harvey's the 11. The other big seeds in this bottom line of the bracket for Canfield is Aurora, who's the 7 seed, Perry's the 8, and then Chesterland West Geauga's 21. But Canfield is the highest seed in the bottom and the only YSN team in the bottom. So
if it goes chalk, West Branch, Canfield in the district.
If we're rooting for Canfield, they got to go through a gauntlet. They're the only survivor or the only one that's going to be on the bottom bracket, and it's all YSN on the top.
Canfield beat Aurora last Saturday, not like this last, but the Saturday before. So that's a big week for Canfield. They beat Aurora, they beat Ellett, they beat Willoughby South twice, and they gave up 1 grand slam to Poland. So Canfield's picking up some momentum. We said it at the top of the show.
I don't want to forget, too, the East 2 district over in Region 6, I believe, for Beaver Local, who was the 15 seed. They're playing 14-seeded Byesville Meadowbrook, and the winner of that one will play the number 1 seeded New Concord John Glenn. And I know not a name that everyone's familiar with, but John Glenn's a pretty big softball team.
And East Liverpool should be over in that East District 2.
They're in, I believe they are in
East 2.
East 1. They are the 18th seed playing 19 seeded St. Clairsville, and the winner will play Indian Valley, number 2 seeded. So Beaver Local and East Liverpool can go up against 1 and 2, basically, in this one.
Once again, and Edison, I believe, is Division 3. So
we'll have them in Division 3. Yep.
So let's go over the Northeast seedings in Division 3. South Range got the 1 seed. Ursuline got the 2 seed. Champion the 3. Crestview the 4. Columbiana the 5. Pie Valley 6, Newton Falls 7, Rootstown 8, Springfield 9, Crestwood 10, United 12, United 11, Mooney 12, Grand Valley 13, Kirtland 14, Waterloo 15, Garfield 16, East Palestine 17, Gilmore Academy 18. Berkshire is 19, Liberty is 20, LeBray is 21, Conneaut's 22, and Camel Memorial is 23.
Real quickly, looking at this in the South Range district, South Range is hosting, and no matter if they win or not, but they are the number 1 seed, like you mentioned. They're already in the sectional final. They'll play the winner of Camel Memorial and East Palestine, 23 versus 17. In that next line, it's Waterloo and Mooney, 15 versus 12 in that sectional final match.
The highest seed that South Range would have to play in the district semifinal is Mooney at 12.
Yes. And then below that, Columbiana is already in the sectional final. They'll play the winner of Crestwood and Gilmore Academy, 18 versus 10. Columbiana's 5 seed. And then the next line, Crestview, is 4 seed, and they'll play the winner of 22 Conneaut and 11 United.
I wouldn't sleep on Crestwood if Columbiana has to play them, because Crestwood might be the 10 seed and they might be 5-1 right now. I mean, how do you see these teams that are 5-1, 6-1? They've only played 6 games. Crestwood is a very strong softball program with a rich history of success. They've been to states. I think Poland. They've been to. I think they were D2 not too long ago, because I feel like back when Poland made the run to the state semifinals, I think they beat Crestwood along the way. They're a great softball program. The point of the matter is they're a great softball program. They know how to succeed. So they're 5-1, sitting at the 10 seed. I think they got a little bit disrespected. I think that's underseeded for a Crestwood program that has been in Firestone before.
It's tough to judge. Very tough to judge, too. We'll obviously be able to talk more on that as games get closer, and it'll be exciting, obviously, once this tournament starts. Over in the LeBray district, too, champion, you mentioned it. They were the 3 seeded. They're already in a sectional final. They'll play the winner of Liberty and Rootstown, 20 versus 8 in the sectional semi. Pie Valley is the 6th seed, the second highest seed that Warren champion will have to face in this one. They're in the next line. They'll play the winner of Newton Falls 7 and Berkshire 19. That's the top line of the bracket. Bottom line of this one, Kirtland has the bye going into the sectional final. They'll play their 14 seed. They'll play the winner of 9 seeded Springfield and 16 Garrettsville Garfield. That'll be a fun one for the softball realm. And then 2 seeded Ursuline on the bottom line of this bracket, the highest seed in this bottom end. They'll play the winner of LeBray 21 and Oral Grand Valley number 13.
And last year it was South Range that had to go through champion in the districts to go to regionals, and now it's Ursuline that will have to do it this year. And Ursuline, like you said, they look really good right now. They're on a run. They're on a run streak. They're taking momentum, but so is champion. That'll be interesting if those two teams meet up in a district championship.
Newton Falls is 7th seed too. Don't sleep on the Tigers too. They could catch some heat at the right time.
They beat Crestview last week, so they're definitely capable of making some waves. I believe they played Ursuline in the district semifinal last year. Kept it competitive for a little bit. Obviously, Ursuline's team last year was a different monster, but very good team. They can win tournament games.
Yep. And we also want to mention too, Edison in Division 3. They're in that East District. They are 7 seeded going up against Magnolia Sandy Valley, number 10 seeded. They'll play the winner too of number 1 Martins Ferry and number 16 Berlin Highland in their sectional semi.
And it might end up again where South Range and Ursuline are in that opposite sides of the region. So we could see another regional final with a rematch of the Raiders and the Irish.
It'll definitely be
every softball fan should be rooting for, because that was an epic softball game last year.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, there's so many matchups we can get to that'll be no doubt fun.
Got a comment from Chrissy Watts, and we want to thank you for the thank you, and we continue to support you guys, and we'll cover you guys as long as we're able to. So
thank you for the opportunity to cover your incredible athlete of a daughter too, and having her join us on the show today. We obviously love it too.
I was like, thank you for your gene pool.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Let's talk about Division 4, Ant. We gotta get Division 4 some love too before we get out of here.
All right, let's get the Division 4 seeds real quick. We got the 1 seed in Division 4, which is Matthews. No surprise there. They went to the state championship last year. Fell. Bristol's the 2, Brookfield the 3, Western Reserve the 4, McDonald's the 5, Lisbon is the 6, Chalker the 7, Jackson Milton the 8, Southern the 9, Lordstown 10, Sebring 11, East Canton 12, JFK 13, Mobile 14, Maplewood is 15, Fairport Harding 16, Badger 17, Mineral Ridge 18, Cardinal 19, Latonia 20, St. John 21, Wyndham 22, Bloomfield 23, and Wellsville 24.
To start over in the Badger District for Division 4, you said Matthews is 1. They'll play the winner of Ashtabula St. John's School and North Bloomfield. They'll play, that's 21-23. In the next line, though, JFK, Warren JFK's 13 seed. They'll play the winner of Badger 17 and Fairport Harbor Harding at 16 seeded too. So potentially we can have an all YSN sectional final to get to the district semis.
When I'm looking at these seeds, and you can get into where they fall in the bracket, I think Brookfield is very good, and they could make a run this year just like they did last.
They're in the bottom line of that bracket too. They play the winner of 20 and 18.
With how they're playing right now, Jackson Milton at the 8, that's scary for teams. I mean, that might be a little bit underseeded. They definitely lost to McDonald early in the season. McDonald only with 5 games in. So
and Jackson Milton plays Wellsville 24 seeded in a sectional semifinal, but this district is in Jackson Milton. They'll play the winner of that game plays McDonald 5 seed in that bracket. That's going to be interesting too. Come that.
If Jackson Milton's hitting finds their rhythm like they have last week, their pitching might be some of the best in that bracket. So you just don't want them, if you're against them, you don't want them to find their lineup mojo. But their pitching is bar none some of the best in D4.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, we're absolutely excited and thrilled for this D4 tournament to start, because it's going to be matchups everywhere.
You look at it more than because D4. I don't know if it's because they have, the smaller school you go, the less taken care of facility you're going to get, but a lot of these teams don't have a ton of games in.
No.
You look at Reserve, they have 9. McDonald has 5. They're 5-0. Chalker has 9. Lordstown has 6 games in. Maplewood has 8. Fairport Harding has 8. Badger has 6 games in. It's like, how do you really, like I said, how do you judge these teams when they've only played 6 games? It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And I mean, it's just kind of going to be a free for all. Once tournament starts, let's see who comes out.
It's going to make it very hard to predict who's going to come out of each bracket, because is a 5-0 McDonald ready? I don't know. Obviously, they've beaten some teams this year, but they have one more week to kind of get ready. I think that they'll use this week as a chance to really build rhythm and momentum, because 5 games going into the tournament, that's rough.
Yeah, it is. But I'll tell you, we'll hopefully get some more games in tonight, as we need to preview the games that we have coming up on the network for you guys.
McDonald can win the conference, but they don't have like all their conference games in by far yet. But they're still undefeated.
And tournament start this weekend.
Right. So I'm sure they'll try to
try
to square that up when teams drop out of the tournament. But that's going to be fun. Let's go over the games on the network tonight real quick before we get out of here. Once again, all games can be found at ysnlive.com/live. And we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on the network tonight. 3 softball, 8 baseball. And we'll start up in the baseball realm as Fitch goes to Howland in baseball. 5 o'clock first pitch. Noah Ricks on the call there. Boardman, they're traveling to Louisville. That'll be Rob on the call down there in Leopard Country. Cardinal Mooney will be traveling to Cheney. Alec Caberna will have the call there. Hubbard will go to Lakeview, as the Lakeview students will have the call. At scene 2, Lowville at McDonald. That'll be Eric Hughes on the call there. Middle Ridge at Western Reserve on scene 3 at 5 o'clock. It'll be Matt Mayer on the call there. Niles will go to Jefferson, and Pat Sartre will have the call there. And South Range will go to Struthers on scene 1. Bob Zanny has the call on that one. Other games going on: Brookfield at Garfield, Campbell at Newton Falls, Columbiana at East Palestine, Liberty at La Brea, Martins Ferry at East Liverpool, Southern at Lisbon, and Poland at Girard. Lincoln at Mohawk has been postponed. So has Crestview at Champion Baseball. We go over to softball. Cardinal Mooney traveling to Ursuline at YSU Softball Complex. Noah Doty will have the call on that one. Jackson Milton traveling to Springfield. I'll have the call with there. 5 o'clock first pitch. Wellsville at United. Chris Sigler will have the call with that one. 5 o'clock first pitch. Other games going on: Akron St. Vincent St. Mary at Louisville. Fitch will go to Howland. Brookfield at Garfield. Campbell will go to Newton Falls. Columbiana at East Palestine. Hubbard at Lakeview. Liberty at La Brea. Lowville at McDonald. Niles at Jefferson. Poland at Girard. South Range at Struthers. Southern at Lisbon. Steubenville Central Catholic will go to Beaver Local. Crestview at Champion, they've already played. They were originally scheduled for today, but they moved that up and they played earlier in the season. So that game will be just tomorrow at Crestview. So if you're looking at an old schedule and you think that Crestview is supposed to travel to Champion tonight, that game already happened earlier in the season. We will have lacrosse on the network tonight, as Canfield will square off with Boardman on the girls' side. Anthony Romo will have coverage there. So lacrosse, softball, baseball, all on the network. That's starting at 7. Go to ysnlive.com/live to find out all the games that we'll have, and be sure to tune in. That's it for Running Point. Thank you so much for tuning in. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3, Power Hour from 3 to 4. Me and Ty, we have Cassidy Bryan and Dana Haas tomorrow at 12 and 12:15 respectively, both seniors of Boardman softball. So make sure to tune into that on Running Point tomorrow from 12 to 2.